If you're watching this video, more than likely you have an altcoin portfolio like me, and what you should be doing right now is buying more altcoins. Right now, the markets are trading sideways. We did see Trump announce the ceasefire between Iran and Israel, which has been, accepted for the past 2 days, which is great to see. We also saw Trump announce a deal from China and the US with the tariffs and everything that's been going on. Trump's 90-day tariff that was pretty much put into play is actually going to be going out of effect in the next 13 days. So all this stuff is super important. But right now, guys, price action on Bitcoin as well as Ethereum is looking quite positive, and a lot of people are calling for altcoin season, which is why you should be looking at altcoins right now and the price action that's currently taking place. Right now, I want to walk you guys currently through the price action we're currently seeing, the news events that are taking place, as well as overall what crypto analysts and traders are saying and why you need to be buying altcoins. Overall though, if you're new to my channel, check out the rest of my content. I keep you guys updated on the day-to-day events, price action on Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, how liquidity shifts, and exactly everything you need to be aware of. Yesterday, guys, we talked about exactly when you should be selling your altcoins. We talked about Bitcoin dominance, the specific regions we're hitting, and exactly when I plan to take profits. That's why you need to make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. We also talked about a few of the economic events that are taking place and when altcoin season could be starting. But with all that being said, guys, I want to go ahead and walk you through the price action, what everyone is saying, and why you should be looking into altcoins. Let's jump into it. So guys, like how I said, we did have some big events happening this week with the markets reacting to US strikes on Iran and pretty much the ceasefire that's taking place. And right now, everything is looking quite good. We also had some important data come out and Jerome Powell speaking about exactly what was being showcased. But everything is just trading sideways right now, guys, based off of exactly the global economic events and that next move up. We also had the talks about Trump's tariffs and how more than likely they're going to be, going back into effect in the next, 13 days, which is super important to keep in mind. Even though we did see a deal go into effect from China and the US, this is quite bullish. There is still going to be, some, markets and other economies that are going to be affected. So with all that being said, guys, that's why everything is still trading sideways, pretty much due to everything kind of just teeter-tottering, but everything is looking a little bit bullish. Ethereum as well, currently pretty much just trading sideways, seeing a little bit of recovery in the last 24 hours, but overall still trading sideways. Altcoins, guys, are just following the price action around Ethereum. You can see, guys, right here with the chart that everything is just pretty much waiting for that next leg up. But based off of exactly what we're seeing with Bitcoin dominance, everyone is slowly reallocating into Bitcoin and stable coins. But right now, this is where we need to keep up with these percentages and exactly when we could be peaking out. You can see USDT dominance is having a little bit of a crash down right now, just showing that everyone is reallocating back into Bitcoin and potentially into risk assets as well. But like I said, we had some key events happen this week with the markets reacting on Monday with the strikes that we did on Iran. But ever since then, we have a ceasefire now with Israel and Iran, and this is looking quite bullish. We did have some data come out on Tuesday, and Jerome Powell speaking on Tuesday as well as Wednesday. And then today, guys, we had the GDP data come out, which wasn't too bullish, really pointing to the fact that the United States is on an unstable path in terms of exactly what is being produced. So this is where, guys, I try to give everyone the perspective based off of exactly what's happening in the US markets and the data that has been announced and how everyone is responding to all of it. And right now, based off of exactly the GDP data that we're seeing with the United States, I don't want to jump too into it, but overall the US is on an increasingly unsustainable fiscal path based off of exactly our debt and a few other different things. So this is super important, pointing to the fact that more than likely, guys, we're going to be seeing rate cuts before the end of the year. But the big thing that I wanted to point out is the fact that, in case you forgot, President Trump's 90-day tariff pause has now only 13 days remaining. This means without any new trade deals on July 9th, tariff rates will rise as follows. And then we have country-specific reciprocal tariffs return, tariffs of up to 50% on EU imports, 30% tariffs on Chinese imports remain in effect. We did see a deal go within, United States and China, so more likely that's probably going to get swiped to the side. For global, 10% baseline tariffs remains in effect. The S&P 500 is now 1,200 points higher than it was on April 9th when the 90-day pause was announced. The trade war will soon take the spotlight again. So I want to give you guys this perspective before everyone starts talking about tariffs and the trade war and everything again. This is why people are still, anticipating more price action moving into Bitcoin. as opposed to altcoins and risk assets. This is where I think it's good to dollar cost average, start getting a position on a few of these assets. And if we start to dip more, you can potentially dollar cost average even more at better prices and pretty much just lower your entry costs. But the big thing that came out 3 hours ago, guys, was that President Trump says he has signed a trade deal with China, and he said that it happened yesterday, even though we didn't see any, announcement of this. The Quebec letter talked about it, how the U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick says the U.S.-China trade deal was signed 2 days ago, even though nothing was announced. So we're going to be seeing more information coming out from the United States and seeing exactly how everything is looking with these deals that are, being put into action. And then on top of that, today, guys, closing out for the U.S. markets, the S&P 500 futures officially enter a new all-time high territory. So smart money, guys, is slowly getting much more bullish. And this is very, very bullish for Bitcoin, risk assets, and everything in general. Now, if we look at how price action is looking for Bitcoin as well as Ethereum, you can see that so far we're holding pretty strong in specific ranges. Crypto Michinel gives his perspective on this. He says, so far, so good for ETH, holding above the crucial range low, and we're likely going to be testing the other side of the range in the upcoming weeks. And you can see, guys, more than likely we're going to be seeing the deviation to that specific zone, and then once we reach that imbalance, we're going to be seeing a huge jump up. This is all based off of exactly what we're seeing based off of previous time zones, as well as overall exactly what we're seeing with the price action with Ethereum. And Bitcoin is currently the same. Bitcoin dominance is shooting through the roof, which is showing how investors are allocating to Bitcoin. But Justin Bennett talked about how he thought we were going to be bouncing down to this area of imbalance, this area of liquidity, and then from there ripping up. But Bitcoin has just started to rally, breaking the 106,000 zone. He says, was right about the direction, just didn't get the pullback. That's the way it goes sometimes. And this was a chart we talked about a few days ago, guys, where we talked about how more than likely we're going to hit that 103,000 zone, and then from there rip back up, breaking above 106,000. But we didn't even see the actual, deviation, because we saw a ceasefire happen between Iran and Israel, which was bullish, and as a result, investors got super bullish and then started allocating back into the market. So right here, guys, you can see that the markets responded a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, we are seeing a strong bounce, and this is bullish for Bitcoin and for Ethereum. Now, Benjamin Cohen gives his perspective around Bitcoin dominance, talking about how excluding stablecoins, Bitcoin dominance is now at 70%. And we talked about this in yesterday's video, guys. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, I talked about exactly when you should be taking profits. It's a very, very beneficial video, so I hope you guys go watch that. Very basic video, but very, 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 very beneficial. Overall, though, he talks about how Bitcoin dominance is running up, and Plan B gave us a strong perspective around Bitcoin and the RSI and what we're currently seeing. RSI, guys, is the relative strength index. It's nothing too strong other than knowing that if Bitcoin is in an overbought region or if it's in an oversold region, and that range is anywhere from 30 to 70%. Below the 30%, we're in an oversold region, and over that 70%, we're in an overbought region. But he gives his perspective on this, and this kind of correlates to my video yesterday. So if you watch yesterday's video, this is a good step in the next direction. He says Bitcoin is an interesting point and is in an interesting point in time. RSI is at 70%. Traditional investors use a 30 to 70% RSI range so that they can start to get worried if Bitcoin is in an overbought region. And right now, Bitcoin is in an overbought region right now. But Bitcoin investors, on the other hand, know that the normal Bitcoin RSI range is from 40 to 90. So RSI at 70 is only slightly above the average of 65. So most investors, guys, are looking at that 30% mark to that 70% mark. But most Bitcoin maxis and everyone that's been investing in crypto in general knows that that range can range anywhere from 40 to 90. So we could be seeing this range much higher than 70%, 80, potentially even 90%. And whenever it hits that zone, that's whenever we are going to be in a crazy overbought region for Bitcoin. Everyone is then going to pour that liquidity back into Ethereum and then altcoins, and then altcoin season is going to start, guys. This is why I'm telling you, more than likely, this is one of the best times to start priming up and buying altcoins. Overall, though, CryptoCon gives us a strong perspective around how Bitcoin is still barely moving, which has glued volatility to critical lows. Historical volatility, this low has only ever been seen before the final bull run. There have been no bearish examples. Simply, the cycle top run is still ahead and the next major move is bullish. You can see, guys, on the bottom chart, we can see whenever we have low volatility and high volatility, and whenever we hit these specific zones, we usually rally super freaking crazy. And right now, guys, how everything is looking, Bitcoin is on its next crazy move. So with all that being said, guys, my crypto portfolio is looking green, it's looking red. We are seeing a lot of fluctuations in the market based off of everything that's going on, which is why I think it is a great time to start dollar cost averaging into a few positions. A lot of these assets are down 60 to 70 to potentially even 80% from where they were last year. So this is a great time to start dollar cost averaging into crypto assets and altcoins. But overall, swiping everything to the side, guys, that is currently what is taking place. There's a bunch of news events that are happening. Everything's looking quite bullish for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and this is why everyone is calling for altcoin season. And what I want you to do is start looking at a few altcoins that are down in the dumps, where you could potentially make a quick 2, 5, even 10x on a few of these assets. This is where, you know, the strong are going to be separated from the weak, the people that are allocating to the market as opposed to people that are capitulating in the market, and people that are keeping up with the proper news events and the liquidity and how everything moves. Like I always said, guys, on this channel, I show you guys all that information, so make sure you guys stay tuned. And if you're new to my channel, check out the rest of my content. I drop day-to-day content talking about the daily price action on Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, and exactly how you need to position yourself. In my last video, I talked about exactly when I plan on selling my altcoins and when you should sell your altcoins. I also talked about if altcoin season is already going to be starting, and I'm going to keep dropping day-to-day videos, guys, until altcoin season starts. And even then, past then, I want to show you how to navigate a bear market as well. So crazy times are ahead of us, guys, but you need to lock in and keep up with all this information. And on this channel, we do just that. So make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate all the support you guys show me on this channel. It is a lot of work, but it is so worth it. Overall, though, I'm going to keep dropping day-to-day content. If you guys have any questions or suggestions, drop them down below, and I'll be sure to get to it as fast as possible. Overall, though, I drop day-to-day content every day, so stay tuned. Do not capitulate your bag, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.